I think the question I hear most is, how do you sound confident when you're not? And this is difficult because we know that when we listen to people or we watch somebody doing a video, if they're not confident, it makes us feel uncomfortable and we don't hear what they're saying as much because we're worried about them. That's generally what it is. We're worried that they're going to mess up or something's going to go wrong. It's a bit like watching something go wrong. You kind of can't stop yourself, but you're not enjoying it and you're probably not learning from it. So it's super, super important that we can at least make it look like we've got it all going on, even if underneath it all we are a little bit nervous. So here are a few tips. One of the things I do which helps me no end with confidence is to prepare. Really put a bit of time and effort into that. Warm up first before you go on stage or before you start presenting so that you can really hit the ground running with your voice sounding strong and powerful. Some of the things you can do, some silly voice exercises. There's lots of those on the internet if you want to, but just doing stupid voices and accents to my dog before I go on stage or before I start presenting really helps. And also I personally really can't stop swearing by belly breathing. Just deep, calm belly breathing. That really, really helps me to calm down. And again, Google that. The other thing that's really important is to add some pauses so that you're not just running away with sentences and sentences and sentences and not giving people time to understand what you're saying and to just sort of think and digest it. It helps you to take a moment to calm down, to just take a deep breath or to smile out at your audience. It's an incredibly effective tool. So far we've talked about preparation and silly voices and pausing. Interesting. Where am I going to go next? Well, next I'm going to say, consider the fact that you want to say less than you think you want to say. And sometimes it can feel really nerve-wracking to think, oh, I've got to add a pause in because then I can't say everything I need to say. But it is much more effective to say less and use clever words so that you can actually be saying more powerful things. It's not about cramming everything in. The other thing that I think is so super important and something that we tend to forget, particularly when we're nervous, is eye contact. Now, obviously, when you're talking virtually, people aren't looking back at you. The only person who is looking at you is your own self on the screen. But if you try and remember that camera, that little dot on your computer is the person, and make contact with that, look into that like I'm doing as much as possible. I use my imagination a lot. So I just imagine there's a person there, or I can stick a picture of a person there. I've used George Clooney in the past. Ryan Gosling also works. Whoever you want to sort of think about and see as the person that you're talking to. The one tip I always suggest you don't do is to imagine everyone naked. I know that's a really popular piece of advice, but I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's great to imagine other people in a vulnerable state to make yourself feel better. I think if you are going to do any imagining, either imagine Ryan Gosling or George Clooney or somebody that you really love, who loves you and thinks you're brilliant. Imagine them smiling back at you, and that should give you quite a nice little boost of confidence.